Hello, beautiful people. We are back. Happy Monday, September 15th. We got mid-month, and we sent a lot of content your way last week. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I got some more stuff coming this week, not as crazy, with one, double interviews a day and stuff like that. But I got some content that was recorded previously that I'm going to share with you guys for the first time. And I do have a couple of guests this week that I'm really excited about. And first and foremost, we're going to talk about something a little bit different today than what we usually cover with, restaurants and food trucks and private chefs and things like that. We're going to cover a subject related to food that is super, super important. And I hope you guys will appreciate it. It's a super important cause, especially locally. And I'd like to introduce, without any further ado, Courtney Hampson from Bluffton Self-Help. How are you?
Hi, I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Thank you for coming on. So you and I have been connected for quite a while. Obviously, I'm a big CH2, CB2 fan. I always talk about how Maggie and Jevin were one of my biggest inspirations after moving here to the area. And you and I connected maybe about a week or so ago. And due to the fact that it's Hunger Action Month, we wanted to get together to talk specifically about food insecurity in our area. So you had mentioned to me, and before we get into this, I think it would probably be a good idea for you to kind of introduce yourself to the audience, what your role is with Bluffton Self-Help, and then we can kind of take it from there. I kind of buried the lead and got ahead as I tend to do. But yeah, let's talk about like your role with Bluffton Self-Help. And for those people who are not familiar with what Bluffton Self-Help is, let's share that with them.
Sure. So I'm the CEO. I've been in this role for just over 3.5 years. So we're a nonprofit based in Bluffton. We've been here for 38 years. When we started 38 years ago, our founder was really one woman, Ida Martin, focused on helping one neighbor. And she helped that neighbor by filling her fridge and filling her pantry. And she kind of looked around and said, wait a minute, there might be other neighbors who need my help too. Back then, Bluffton was 1 square mile, less than 1,000 people lived here. So when Ida went, to the grocery store, it was the old Piggly Wiggly, to fill this mom's fridge. And she started asking her neighbors who could to buy a little extra at the grocery store. And so she really started this organization by stockpiling non-perishable groceries in her garage. 38 years later, we are still very much focused on meeting the basic needs of our neighbors through food, clothing, and emergency financial assistance. We also have a really robust adult education program. We're helping neighbors become bilingual, get their GED, become financially literate, so really their whole family can thrive.
That's incredible. Yeah, I remember stopping by there one day during the course of my travels, and it was accidental because there was I was going to see someone that was working there previously, and it just kind of slipped my mind, and I just, for some reason, I had it in my head that he was there, and I stopped over there, and I was just kind of walking around as I realized I'm in the wrong place. But I'm glad that I was in the wrong place because I got to take a look at the operation over there, which is pretty awesome. And obviously it's a super important cause, and I'm glad to have you on to try to support that, because this is a very big issue. So you had mentioned to me that more than 50% of Beaufort County residents are not earning enough to pay their bills, which is something that you hear very often, at this particular point in time. And then you mentioned that you are distributing 55,000 pounds of free, fresh groceries every month. Yes. Talk about how, it makes my head spin how much, but talk about, why we're here and how you guys are doing your part, which is an incredible, it's a monumental task to try to reverse that and at least alleviate the issue now.
I think folks look at this area, visitors certainly look at this area as an affluent area with some pockets of vulnerability and poverty. But the reality is this is a community that is very vulnerable with some pockets of affluence. Travel and Leisure magazine names Hilton Head the #1 island to visit and names Bluffton one of the best small towns to live in. And we get all of this fabulous, PR and attention because of the beautiful pieces of this place, which I think you would agree. That's why we are here, right? Any transplant came here because there was something magical about it. And that is why we love where we live. But there's just a whole nother story that folks, if they're coming from the airport or driving down I-95 and get off at exit 8, they don't see. If you're driving from Bluffton to Hilton Head and you're passing, gated community after gated community with private security and landscaping and maybe a fountain, if at any point you made a right-hand turn off 278 and then maybe one more right, you could very well be on a dirt road that you were not aware of. And those are some of the folks that, who are most vulnerable in our community. So when I started in this role 3.5 years ago, the manager of our market program started at the same time. And so a few months ago, when she was celebrating her 3-year anniversary, I thought it would be fun to go back and look at the data and see, what were we doing 3 years ago when she started? And what I thought was going to be a fun data exercise was actually upsetting, because in just 3 years, we are serving twice as many folks in our free grocery store than we were in 2022. So that was really, really eye-opening that the number of folks we are serving has doubled in just 3 years. When folks can't afford, their groceries, that most basic need, they really can't think about all the other pieces of the puzzle. And we know that when we're serving someone, we have to be looking holistically at all the pieces of the puzzle that family may be facing. If there's not food on the table, it's really hard to concentrate on the other parts. So our grocery store, it is a grocery store. There is choice, there is dignity, there is ambiance, and it's where we build trust with our neighbors. So perhaps we can help them in another way.
Yes, absolutely. And as we're talking here, I'm showing a video that you guys recently shared on your Facebook page just a couple of days ago. It really is I'm sorry, go ahead.
This is our mobile market. So every Friday we load up the van and we take it to folks, the groceries to folks who can't make it to us. So transportation is also an issue, right? And this is just a really good example of going down roads that folks may not even know exist in Bluffton. I think about every new employee, every new board member for Bluffton Self-Help within their first few weeks does a mobile delivery route, because we really want folks to understand what the entire community looks like. And I remember when I did this, and I went home and I said to my husband, he grew up in Bluffton. He's a Bluffton firefighter, so he knows the roads. And I said, do you know XYZ street? And he said, I do, but we could never get a fire engine down there. And that really struck me as, oh gosh, these folks don't have transportation. They're struggling to pay their bills. They're hungry, but also if there was an emergency, the first responders couldn't get to them. I mean, talk about just layering on bad news after bad news. And so for me, when I think about the layers, it's how can we layer multiple things that we do to help a family? So food is just the first step.
Absolutely. Yeah, you're right. It really is like an actual, look at this cat checking out the delivery. Yeah, you're talking about a lot of these like unincorporated neighborhoods and parts of, Bluffton and Okatee and Ridgeland and things like that. Like you have to look a little bit harder to find these areas. And it's a pretty cool exercise that they get people, experienced in terms of, letting them see for themselves, what's going on over there. You got a little blurb about your employee,
this is
Bob,
Bob,
who's been there for 6 years. As it says here, not just a free wellness grocery store, a hub for hope, dignity, and connection, thanks to your incredible Red Apron volunteers. So that's a great question that I actually think of. So how many volunteers do you have? And, how do people go about looking into opportunities like this, to not only to support, obviously I know you guys accept donations and things like that for people that want to get, a little bit more involved. Let me just mute this. I keep muting it and then it unmutes. What do you suggest for people if they would like to get involved to support this enormously incredible cause?
Yeah, our work does not happen without our volunteers. So while we have 20 staff members across our 3 locations, we have 353, as of last count, volunteers who help us do our work every day. So they could be in the warehouse, which is where this video is right here. They could be front of house in the market. They might be driving the mobile delivery. They may be in our classrooms. All of our classes are taught by volunteer tutors. We think about the great need in this community, but also our community is so generous. When we ask, they always come through. So think about folks who have retired here. I ask our volunteers all the time, so how did you find us? What made you end up volunteering with Bluffton Self-Help? And so often I hear you can only play golf so many times. So they've retired, they kind of tried to play golf and pickleball every day and then realized pretty quickly maybe they wanted something else. And these are folks with worlds of experience from all different career paths who spend their time with us. Some folks on a substitute basis, some folks are here 4 days a week. But what I love about the market is the folks that you see in that picture, they are always here Friday mornings. That's our Friday morning crew. So when somebody shops on Friday mornings, they're always going to get the same smiling faces. So the volunteers get to know our neighbors get to know the volunteers, and then that's where we build trust and we get to know people, and maybe we recognize if there's another way we can help a family because we're focused on relationships.
Absolutely. There was a thing that you had Wednesday.
Yeah.
That was free fresh produce, compliments of your partnership with the Low Country Food Bank. So in addition to, people being able to go and see those friendly faces on the specific days of the week that they go, you also have some special events and things like this as well, open to the public.
Correct. Twice a month, we do this fresh farmers market. We distribute about 4,000 pounds of veggies and fruit on this one day. We always do it at our headquarters. And recently we added a second location on the USCB campus. So we get some of the USCB students who volunteer and help. It's a whole new host of hundreds of families who, just by moving, towards Okatee and Jasper County, we know that the need in Jasper County is even greater than Beaufort County. So this is us reaching a whole new set of neighbors.
It's incredible. I love this stuff.
Yeah, you don't know what 4,000 pounds of veggies look like until it rolls up and it comes off the back of a truck.
Seriously.
Yeah.
So you also have some special events and things like that to kind of support the charity as well.
Yes.
Like this Hewitt Oaks, where you're going to have this SIPS. Talk about a couple of these events. This is the SIPS Seafood Party coming up on October 17th. And it says here, so the ticket sales for this have closed, but I'm assuming you probably sold out, correct?
We did. We have, we have a couple tables left, but if folks want to email us directly, we can go ahead and make that happen for them. We do one fundraiser a year. Events are a lot of work.
Sure.
So we only do one, and we raise about $350,000 in that evening, and all of those dollars go directly into our programs. It is a fabulous night. Hewitt Oaks is very generous in hosting us. Ben Sanger from WSAV is our MC. You see our volunteers, even they work the event. Even they're parking cars and raising hands when people are bidding with the paddles. So they are very, very active. It's a really nice night. It lets us kind of tell the story to a captive audience.
Right. Yeah, Hewitt Oaks does a great job. I've attended a number of events there, and they always do an incredible job.
Yeah.
Looks like a lot of people are having a really good time there. Yeah, this is great. So as far as I would assume that if people, you got a great donation from Spartina for $10,000 recently, and then this is a great resource. So I really suggest that people go and check out specifically your Facebook page. I'm sure you guys are probably on Instagram too as well, right?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. Go check them out at Bluffton Self-Help on Facebook. And then of course, as well as Instagram. And I would imagine if people want to volunteer, they could probably just, give you guys a call or just show up at the location there and
right on our website.
about that.
on our website. You can get involved, you can get help, you can donate right from the website. We do volunteer info sessions twice a month. So I think that was your original question like 10 minutes ago that I never
Yes.
actually answered.
No, that's okay. That's okay. We came back to it.
Yeah, so you can come in for an info session, hear kind of the big picture, and then get a little more into the nitty gritty about the various jobs that we have. So there are lots of ways to serve.
There's a cool thing too that I see here. That's this Getting Ahead program. Helps you uncover the why behind life's challenges. It's a 16-week small group program. So you can email Barbara at blufftonselfhelp.org to join the journey. This is a free dinner at each meeting, earn up to $300 a month in gift cards, materials and registration at no cost, access to lifelong and alumni and graduate network. So this is a meeting where basically they'll meet with peers and trained facilitators to identify and create better resources to support their goals, learn more or learn how to move from getting by to getting ahead. There's a lot of really good stuff here. You guys, obviously you're giving back day in and day out, but you have cool things like this where you had, Palmetto Pops.
For our volunteers, our volunteers, they're the lifeblood, right? So when you think about, your team, that very much includes our volunteers and making sure we're always celebrating them and celebrating their contribution. Last year in 2024, the value of our volunteers' time was just under $1 million.
Wow.
So yes, it is insane. That would otherwise, without them, that is money that would be coming out of the budget. So they're critical.
That's incredible. And see here we have the again the mobile market again. This is a lot of food. Is there ever a time where is it just constantly a steady flow and basically are those shelves, do they remain stocked, or is there ever a time where it kind of comes down? Are there any issues that you guys have occasionally of trying to keep that stuff full?
Yeah, I mean, it used to be, I would say it used to be cyclical. So we would see seasonality in terms of donations and in terms of how busy we are. In the summer, many of our donors, go out of town, they travel. So donations usually dip, but also in the, fall and winter Q4, we get more than half of our donations in Q4, but that's also when the need is greatest. But I will say over the last year, there have been no peaks. It has been kind of all valleys. We are every day making sure the shelves are full. We rely on partners. Second Helpings brings a truck every single day of rescued food. We assess what's on that truck. We determine what else we need for the next day to be able to open the market. So we are making food orders. We might be running the Sam's Club because eggs are on sale. So it is a day by day kind of analysis of inventory and reset. So when somebody does donate, that food is literally going back out the door that week.
Oh, that's incredible. This is great. Like I said, I got to see for it myself. It really is kind of just like a regular grocery store. 39 Sheridan Park Circle, Suite 10 in Bluffton, 843-757-8000. You can also email them info@blufftonselfhelp.org. And of course, the website, blufftonselfhelp.org. And you can find them on Facebook at Bluffton Self-Help, as well as Instagram. So this is great. Thank you for coming on here to kind of share that with everybody, and we're going to do the best that we can, to spread the word for the remainder of this very important month on the calendar. Again, Hunger Action Month with Bluffton Self-Help. So before I let you go, let's talk about some food. I know you're a foodie. I know that you write for CH2/CB2 magazine. What are some of your favorites, or even just some things that you've been enjoying specifically lately as we ease into this, post tourism, peak and into what is a lot of people. I can't remember who it was specifically that I spoke with last week, but this is really the best time of the year as we head into, late September, October, November with the weather. We got a lot of festivals and things like that coming up. What has been sort of on your mind as far as the local food scene, whether it's Bluffton and or Hilton Head?
Yeah, well, I'd say it's Bluffton, it's Hilton Head, it's Savannah. I recognize how fortunate I am that I can go out and have a meal. Before I joined Bluffton Self-Help, I worked for Palmetto Bluff for almost 17 years and ran a pretty big food and wine event there. And that is what turned me into a foodie, and I will say my career there and the generosity of Palmetto Bluff is why I'm able to do what I am today. But I'm a Jersey girl, so pizza is always going to kind of be at the core of what I want and what I need. And so Joelle for me is kind of top tier pizza.
Love those pizzas. I'm a Jersey,
So,
as you know, I'm a Jersey guy
yeah,
as well, and
yeah,
that's one of my favorites. Joelle is probably one of my favorite lunch spots, period, between Hilton Head, Bluffton, and the surrounding area. Specifically, those pizzas, that
yeah.
salsiccia with the sausage
That's
and peppers
every
and ricotta
time.
is my favorite.
Every time. And that's kind of my fatal flaw. When I find something on a menu, I order the same thing every single time. So
Yeah,
I don't really widen my horizon.
right.
A couple weeks ago, we went to the new municipal bar in Savannah.
I've heard really good things about that.
It was way cooler than my husband and I are. So we tried to act cool, like we fit into the space, but it's very retro, mid-century mod. They redid a bank. The bar is stunning. The food was excellent. The steak frites was better than France's steak frites, I will say. So those would be kind of my running top two right now.
Yeah, I go over to Savannah quite a bit. I haven't been to Municipal Grand yet. I've heard very good things about Veratina. I specifically heard good things about Veratina when I was at Lucia Pasta Bar, not this past weekend, but the weekend before. That's Kyle Iacovino's new concept, the guy from Vittoria Pizza,
Oh, yeah.
which is one of the better. That's the Neapolitan one that's over there. That's really good. I've heard about good things about Vinny Van Gogo's, although I haven't got a chance to try that yet. I got to try Squirrel's Pizza before they moved out of Starland. Now they're just in that the park at Eastern Wharf, where I did an interview a couple of weeks ago with the staff over at Pilot and Park. If I'm not over in the Starland area or all the way out at Rockies and the Wild and things like that, I'm typically, if I'm not in Starland, I'm probably going to be over in that Eastern Wharf, which just continues to develop.
Yeah, the Fleeting. Have you gone to the Fleeting then?
Have I gone to Fleeting? Yeah. I am. I actually. I'm not. I'm going to toot my own horn here. I have my own reservation link to Fleeting because I've been to some of it, or almost all of the pop-ups and residencies. Specifically last year, I think we only missed like one or two. Those are great because the restaurant's not typically open Mondays and Tuesdays. Yeah. So if they have a pop-up, it'll be Monday and or Tuesday. If it's a residency, it'll be Mondays and Tuesdays for a couple of weeks. They do some really good stuff over there. I still need to try the elusive fried chicken sandwich at the bar, which is that's a happy hour item. The fried chicken sandwich in the lobby there at Fleeting. Yeah. And I've enjoyed a couple of drinks at Bar Julian up on the roof, but I haven't tried any of their food yet. So I definitely want to try that. The Laundry Diner's been a newer one. Brochu's my favorite. Matter of fact, my wife, I think it was one of her brothers, gave us a gift card. I've been to Brochu at least a half a dozen times, if not more, but we have a gift card that I keep forgetting about that we need to get back over there and use. I want to try their sour hour where they have a lot of like pickle, pickle influenced appetizers and cocktails even. Yeah. That place is, I mean, when people ask, I have a short list of places that I really like. Again, most of them are confined to, I love Brochu. I love Yukio. I love, all of the formerly Ellen the Chef, the Rhino Hospitality Group, a lot of that Asian influence stuff. I just noticed that Yitang won #1 Chinese, but runner-up was Flock to the Walk, which is one of my absolute favorites. But yeah, Brochu's. How has your experiences been there? It's a very unique place, right?
Super unique. In fact, so Brandon Carter of Farm, Florida, right. So we work together at Palmetto Bluff. So he gets all credit for turning me into a foodie. We used to travel for work together, and we would go to New York City, we would go to Austin, wherever we were. He would book us 2 dinner reservations. We'd do a 5:30 and an 8 o'clock. So he remains kind of my guru in terms of where to go. So he turned me on to Brochu, and we have been loyalists ever since.
Yeah, I know he has a relationship with them over there. My friend John Park, who lives up in Roanoke, he's the Hungry Asian RK on Instagram. Yeah, he's a great guy. So a lot of times when he's here, he'll be over in Savannah doing photos and video and stuff like that, whether it's at Flora and Fauna or Common Thread. And then, of course, most recently, Brochu. I also got to go to a couple of supper club previews. I got to go to the Flora and Fauna preview at Brochu. And also the Laundry Diner preview, which was awesome last year, where I got to sample a bunch of the a bunch of the stuff on that menu, breakfast, lunch, dinner, that type of stuff. Are there any newer things over on this side of the river that you have been a fan of, or anything or any place specifically that you'd like to spotlight or highlight? Tough question, I know.
It is a tough question.
You live in Bluffton, right? Or do you live in?
Okay. I live in Bluffton. I'll give a shout out to Matt and Black Sheep. I know they have changed their format, but I will tell you, going there for lunch and their chips and dip, I mean, it is so simple. I think it's simple. I don't know. It's homemade kettle chips and an onion dip that I would, sell my soul for. It is pretty spectacular. It's just a great vibe.
Black Sheep is awesome. It's tough because they're always sharing like what their special is each day, and I can probably get there in 35 minutes from my house.
The Philly cheesesteak is gone by the time you get there.
Yeah, I know. I probably would get him angry because I would ask for the cheesesteak to be without the Duke's mayo. I know he likes things to be very specifically the way that he likes them. I'm not particularly a fan of mayo on a cheesesteak. That being said, I do trust his judgment, so maybe I would give it a whirl. Everything that I've eaten there has been spectacular. I did get to eat there for dinner when they were still doing dinner. Now it's more of a wine shop luncheonette concept, but I like to go over there to see him. I like to go to Locals Raw Bar. I'll go all the way out almost an hour to go to Beto's Burgers if I get a hankering for some of that stuff out there, out on St. Helena. I really kind of, like to celebrate, just like the magazine says, celebrate Bluffton and beyond. I like to go well beyond to search high and low for all this great food. And we got some really good festivals coming up. I don't know if you're a festival person. Yeah.
Well, I was on the original committee for the Arts and Seafood Festival 20 years ago. So I am a festival person. We will make a reservation for brunch at Farm or go to Corner Park and sit and people watch mostly.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's coming up soon.
For sure. I know the shrimp festivals this weekend and then a lot of other stuff coming up. My wife runs the SCORE program for the Outside Foundation, South Carolina Oyster Reef Enhancement. So shell bagging season is upon us, combined with festival season, where she'll be at a lot of these festivals most weekends, educating people on the benefits of oyster shell recycling and oyster reef restoration. Of course, some of them, there's a lot of oysters to eat, like the seafood, the festival and things like that. So I'm hit or miss with the festivals. I like it when it's food forward, when it's, pay $75 for all you can drink. I'm less likely to be enthused for those because I'm looking for the food options as opposed to, and I don't mind paying, a la carte for the food, but I'm just not the type of person that's going to drive to, the south end of the island and then be drinking, wine or beer or whatever it is all day, and then have to find my way back out to the outskirts of Bluffton here. So I'm hit or miss. I kind of pick my spots when it comes to that stuff, depending on where it is and, what's being highlighted and what's being spotlighted on there. So, all right, that's very exciting. So, before I let you go, Courtney, we're coming up on a half hour. I know you got a busy day ahead of you. Is there anything else that you would like to, mention to our audience, whether it's about Bluffton self-help, whether it's about CH2 or anything else, Indulgent related or otherwise?
Yeah. Well, I would say if you're at the grocery store this week and there's a buy one, get one, if you could get a few ones of canned goods and, drop them off at Bluffton Self-Help, we would absolutely appreciate it.
Again, Bluffton Self-Help. They're on Facebook, facebook.com/Bluffton Self-Help. I should always have this ready.
BlufftonSelfHelp.org. You can click to donate. You can click to get help. You can click to get involved right from our homepage.
And Bluffton Self-Help all together as one word. You just got to follow from me there. I'm surprised I wasn't following already. Instagram, Bluffton Self-Help, all one word. I got you followed on there. I'll follow it from the Indulgent Islander account as well so that I can spread the word for this type of stuff. And guys, this is a really good cause. So again, like Courtney said, BlufftonSelfHelp.org, 843-757-8000. info@BlufftonSelfHelp.org. And of course, if you want to reach out to her directly, I'm sure she can point you in the right direction as well. Well, this was fun. This is a really important cause, obviously, for Bluffton, as they say, is a state of mind. The thing I love about Bluffton is that everybody's always looking to kind of help each other out. And the bottom line is right now is that you have people that live amongst you, whether they're inside or outside of the gates in your HOA communities, if you're in one of those communities, or if you're in Old Town, or if you're in one of these non-HOA communities, you would probably be surprised at how many people are around you are, especially families with small children and things like that are struggling to make ends meet and struggling to feed themselves and their families. So please support this incredible cause. And once again, thank you, Courtney, for joining us. And we should have you back on soon, maybe when you have one of your events or things like that coming up. We'll help you promote it by coming on the Indulgent Hour.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
My pleasure. Likewise. Have a great day.
You too.
And as always, stay hungry, my friends. See you guys soon.